Almost nobody knows this, but there's a right way to procrastinate, and if you do it that way, your procrastination slowly starts to disappear on its own. I know that sounds backwards, and you've probably been told the opposite your whole life, that procrastinating means you're lazy or you just don't want it bad enough. But here's the weird part, you do want it. You want to write the book, you want to go to the gym. So if you want it, why can't you just make yourself do it? That question has a real answer, and it has nothing to do with discipline or willpower. As a behavioral scientist, I've spent years studying why we put off the things we actually want to do. And from all my research, I found it comes down to one decision your brain makes behind your back. So in this video, I'm going to show you why procrastinating was never the real problem and the one change that makes it the right choice. And I'll warn you now, it's going to sound way too easy, but that's exactly why nobody does it. So in order to understand the right way to procrastinate, we first need to understand your brain. Now your brain has one job, and it's had this job for millions of years, and it's really good at it. It's to keep you away from suffering and move you toward pleasure. That's the whole job description. And that made total sense for most of human history. Back then, suffering meant danger, an injury, a predator. If something felt bad, you were probably in trouble. The humans who avoided it survived, and they're your ancestors. So your brain is the product of millions of years of avoid what feels bad, and you'll live. The problem is your brain still runs that program in a world where the rules flipped. Today, the stuff that feels bad is a workout, cooking dinner when you're already exhausted, getting up when the alarm goes off. None of it can actually hurt you. Actually, most of it is exactly what would make your life better. But your brain can't tell the difference between a predator and a pull-up. Feels bad? Avoid it. That's the program your brain is running on. So how does your brain decide what feels bad? It can't see the future. It doesn't know how today's workout will actually go. So it predicts using the only data it has. Every time you've done this before. See, your brain keeps score. Every task you've ever done or anything close to it, it remembers how that felt. And it assumes next time will feel the same. That email you keep avoiding, somewhere in your past, emails like that felt bad. Your brain remembers even if you don't, so it predicts this one will feel bad too. And if it's something you've never done at all, there's no data. And your brain doesn't give new things the benefit of the doubt. No data means assume the worst. That's why even exciting new things like the business or the first gym visit can feel weirdly impossible to start. And there's a second problem stacked on top. Your brain never compares a task to nothing, it compares it to the easiest thing available. And the stuff that'll change your life almost always loses. The gym loses to the couch. Your first bad chapter of the book that you want to write loses to scrolling. So let's put it together. Your brain predicts the task will feel bad, and there's something easier sitting right next to it. Remember, it's one job, away from suffering toward pleasure. So to your brain, that task isn't a goal, it's a threat to protect you from. Here's the easiest way to picture all this. Your brain is like an overprotective bodyguard. Once you even think about it, let's say writing the email you know you need to send, he steps in front of you. He didn't check whether the email is actually dangerous, he checked his file on it. Because this bodyguard keeps a file on every task in your life. A record of how it felt every single time you did it in the past. And the file for the email says suffering, suffering, suffering. Every time you've written these emails in the past, you suffered. So he steps in front of you and puts a hand on your chest. Is he wrong a lot? Constantly. He blocks reading books, he blocks workouts, he blocks the exact things that would make your life better. But he doesn't know that. From where he's standing, he just saved your life again. He's not broken or lazy, and neither are you. He's just doing his job. The problem is what's in the file. So here's what procrastination actually is. When you look at a task or even think about it, your brain checks the file, and if the file says suffering, it predicts suffering, so it creates resistance. And you can feel it. This resistance is the bodyguard's hands on your chest. It's not a shove, just steady pressure holding you back. That's what turns something that you could start in 10 seconds into something you have to work up to. Now, you can push through it. People do it every day. That's what, willpower or discipline is. But notice what that actually costs. You're leaning into a hand that's pushing back the whole time. You can do it once, you can do it, on a good day, but your bodyguard never gets tired, and you do. That's why forcing yourself works on Monday and stops working by Thursday. Then compare that to the days when there's no hand at all. You just do it. And here's the thing, you weren't stronger on those days. There was just nothing to push against. So on the outside, that looks like procrastination, but on the inside, it's just your bodyguard standing there holding you back. And resistance is sneaky. It almost never says, I refuse. It says, I'll do it after lunch. It says, let me just check my phone first. It makes you tired just thinking about a 2-minute task. That's all him. Different disguises, same bodyguard. And here's the part that messes with people. All this happens underneath your awareness. You don't get a memo. You know that one task you keep avoiding? Or if somebody asks you why, you couldn't even explain it, you just go, I don't know, I just don't. And then right after, you think, God, I'm so lazy. You know that feeling? That's exactly what an unconscious prediction feels like from the inside. Your brain made a decision about that task and didn't tell you. And you spent years blaming yourself for a decision you didn't even know you made. So let me say the most important sentence in this video. You're not avoiding the task, you're avoiding the suffering your brain predicts the task will give you. Now, some of you are hearing this and thinking, this just sounds like an excuse. You're just telling me what I want to hear. I get it. You've spent years being told procrastination means you're weak by people whose entire solution was just wanting more. That's not science. That's a feeling dressed up as advice. But nothing I just described is a feeling. It's mechanics. There is a physical process in your brain running right now that generates resistance before you ever get a choice. That's not me being nice to you. That's just what's happening. And here's the difference it makes. If procrastination is laziness, your only tool is pushing harder, and you already know how that goes. But if it's a prediction, predictions can change. So that's the real question. Not how do I force myself? You've already tried that. The question is, how do you change their prediction? Well, here's what most people try. They fight the resistance. Willpower, discipline, forcing themselves through it. And sometimes it even works. For a day, maybe a week. But you can't beat the bodyguard. He's bigger than you. He's been doing this for millions of years. Fighting him is a full-time job, and you lose the moment you get tired. But you don't have to fight him, because there's something way easier. Remember, the resistance was only generated because your brain predicts the task will make you suffer. So you don't have to attack the resistance, you just need to change the prediction. Here's what that actually looks like. You're thinking about doing the task and your bodyguard is already standing in the way. And before he lets you anywhere near it, he checks the file. And here's the thing, he doesn't see the task as it actually is. He sees what the file says it is. Think about it. Every time you've done your email inbox stressed, rushed, dreading it, that got photographed. The file is full of suffering photos. So when he looks at that email, he doesn't see an email, he sees a huge guy cracking his knuckles waiting for you. No way he's letting you walk into that. Hand on your chest, blocked. But now, imagine that same email has a different file. Same task, except when he flips it open, the photos aren't suffering photos anymore. So when he looks over, it's a toddler, completely harmless. He shrugs, steps aside, and you just walk up and do the thing. No fight, no willpower, nothing to push through, because he's not protecting you from anything anymore. So it's the same task the whole time, just different photos in the file, different predictions, so the resistance never got made. You're not becoming more disciplined in that picture. The task didn't get easier. Your brain just stopped predicting suffering. So the real move is changing what's in the file. Now, how do you do that? It comes down to one distinction almost nobody ever teaches you, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Throughout this video, I've been saying suffering. And I chose that word carefully because there are two completely different things we lump together as feels bad, and separating them changes everything. The first is pain. Pain is just a sensation. Your legs burning in a workout, cold water hitting your skin, your eyes stinging when you're tired. That's it. Pain by itself is neutral. It doesn't mean anything on its own. The second is suffering. Suffering is what your mind adds on top of the pain. It's what you decide the sensation means, and what you decide it says about you. So the pain is the part that's just there, the suffering is the part you add, which means two people can feel the exact same thing and have completely different experiences of it, because one of them added something the other didn't. And here's the part that matters. Your bodyguard only files one of them. Now let me show you what I mean so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So imagine you have to write a report for work. The same report, two different jobs, right? So in the first job, your boss is someone you actually admire. They're sharp, they're respected, you actually really like them. And this report is your shot to show them what you can do. So you sit down and yeah, the work is still work, but there's energy in it. You're building something. And you're actually crushing this report. You're doing a really good job. So you're really excited to show it to your boss. Now in the second job, same report that you're writing, but your boss is just going to slap their name on it and take all the credit. just like they always do. Now you're crushing the report again, you're doing a really good job, but now every sentence feels heavy. You keep checking your phone, the whole thing feels miserable because you know they're going to get all the credit. Now here's the thing, the report is identical, same document, same effort, same hours, the task didn't change, the meaning changed. And that's the part almost everyone has backwards. It's not the experience that creates the meaning, it's the meaning that creates the experience. Which means the suffering was never in the task, it was added. And anything that gets added can be removed. And this works on physical pain too. I'll use myself here because this is the exact reason that I love working out. When I train, my legs burn. That's real physical pain. I feel it every single time. But here's what it looks like in my head. My music's going, the burn kicks in, and what I hear in my head is, there it is, that's me getting stronger. And I'm tracking my lifts, so I know I added weight since last week. I can literally watch myself grow. And when a girl walks by that's lifting way more than me, I'm like, that's so cool, she's so strong. I can't wait to get there. And most days, honestly, it feels good, regardless of the physical pain, because of what it all means. Now picture someone next to me. Let's say they're lifting the same exact weight as me. Their muscles are just as big as mine, and they feel the same burn, the identical physical sensation. But in her head, the burn means, this is awful. Why is this so hard for me? She sees that same other strong girl walk by, and in her head, she says, I'm so weak compared to her. Why am I even lifting these baby weights? Same burn, same gym, same strong girl walking by, all of it turned into suffering. And I know that voice because it used to be mine. Neither of us is tougher than the other. We're feeling the same things, seeing the same things. The only difference is what our minds decided those things mean. And now watch what happens to our files. My bodyguard photographs, I'm getting stronger. Hers photographs, I'm weak. So next week when I think you're at the gym, no resistance, nothing to push through. I just grab my bag. But when she thinks about the gym, her bodyguard flips open the file, sees all that suffering, and starts generating resistance. Remember, your brain wants to push you towards pleasure away from suffering. Suddenly, she's tired. She'll go tomorrow. This week's too busy anyway. That's the part I need you to see. Her procrastination didn't start tonight on the couch thinking about the gym. It started last week at the gym. She was doing the workout, and while she was doing it, she was building the reason she'd skip the next one. And she had no idea she was doing it. Nobody ever tells you that the story you tell yourself during the workout is the thing that decides whether you come back. So by now, you can probably see your own life in this. Every task you procrastinate on has its file. Every time you did the task and you focus on how much it sucked, how hard it was, what it said about you, clicked and filed. Years of that, and that's why the resistance feels so automatic. And I want to be honest with you, a lot of those photos were taken under conditions that were never fair. You did the task at 11 p.m. after a 10-hour day. You did it exhausted, rushed, already behind. Of course it felt terrible, anything would have. But he doesn't note the conditions. He doesn't write she was running on 4 hours of sleep. He just files it under this task equals suffering. And that photo counts exactly the same as all the others. But if the file is what he reads, then the file is what you change. From this point on, you decide what gets filed. Except there's a problem. And this is the part of the video where I finally teach you the right way to procrastinate. And I'll warn you again, you're going to think that this sounds way too easy to actually work, and that's why nobody does it. Now, let me ask you something. What do you do while you're procrastinating? You know exactly what task to do, but instead you sit there scrolling and you hate yourself for it. And so you feel guilty and you think things like, I'm so lazy, what's wrong with me? Everybody else can do this, so why can't I? And you feel guilty all afternoon. You carry it into the evening. Now, after everything you just learned, let's look at that guilt again. What is it? A bad feeling plus a story about what it means about you. That's suffering, and your bodyguard files it. Sit with that for a second, because here's how it actually happens. It's 3 p.m., you've been putting off that email all afternoon, the one you know you need to send, but you're on the couch scrolling instead. And the whole time, you feel like garbage. Now, your bodyguard is watching, but he can't see your hands. He has no idea whether you actually did the task or not. All he can see is what's in your head and how you feel. And what's been in your head all afternoon? That email. What have you been feeling all afternoon? Awful. So he takes the photo. Click, filed under email. As far as he's concerned, that's just one more time the email made you feel terrible. He'll never know you didn't even open it. And this is one of the oldest findings in psychology. Pavlov rang a bell every time his dogs got food, and pretty soon the bell alone made them drool even when there was no food in sight. The bell never fed anyone, it just kept showing up at the same time as the food, so their brains welded the two together. Your brain does the same thing. The email keeps showing up at the same time as the shame, so it links them. And now the email alone is enough to make you feel bad. So you just linked the email to suffering from the couch without even touching it. And this isn't a one-time thing. Every time you procrastinate and then beat yourself up about it, you're adding another photo without ever even touching the task you're procrastinating on. You made tomorrow's procrastination stronger by feeling bad about today's. And this is where the loop starts. The task feels heavy, so you avoid it. And I know how that sounds. If it's heavy, why not just do it and get it out of the way? Well, here's why. Picture the actual moment. You think about the email. The file flips open, the resistance hits, there's the heaviness. Right there, your brain sees two doors. Door one is do the task, but according to the prediction, that means walking straight into the suffering. Relief exists, behind it after you do the task, but it's later. And your brain doesn't care about later, it cares about now. That's also why, if you've ever gotten super drunk and the next morning you're super hungover and you're like, I'm never, ever drinking again. And then you drink again. Why? Because when you drink, you feel the benefit immediately, being drunk. But the hangover is later. So even though you'd never want to feel hungover again, your brain still decides to drink because it doesn't have to feel that for at least, until next morning. But back to the email. Door two is to pick up your phone, and the second you do, the heaviness drops. Not gone, but quieter. Instantly. That's the whole game. Your brain isn't comparing 10 minutes of email against carrying this guilt all day. It's only ever comparing this exact second. Suffering now or relief now. And it's built to push you towards relief now. Every single time. The heaviness you'll carry all afternoon comes in slow drops it barely notices. The relief of escaping comes as one clean hit it absolutely notices immediately. And you already know what's coming. Click, he photographs the relief too. Files it under escaping. Running away felt good. So now he's learning both lessons at once. The task file fills with suffering, the escape file fills with pleasure. That's why the loop doesn't just repeat, it tightens. Then the shame rolls in slowly and the shame gets photographed. Filed under the task. So tomorrow it feels even heavier, which means you avoid it harder, which means more shame, more photos, around and around, the file getting thicker, and you never even opened the email. That's the loop almost nobody sees. This is why there's a right way to procrastinate, and here it is. If you're going to procrastinate today, and some days you will, do it without the shame. Drop the guilt completely. I know that's a step that sounds like it can't work. It sounds like giving yourself a free pass, but look at the mechanics. Procrastinating with shame loads the file and makes tomorrow harder. Procrastinating without shame adds nothing to the task file. The file stays exactly as it is. You break even. That's not a free pass, that's you refusing to hand your bodyguard more photos. And that's just the floor. That's what stops the file from getting worse, but you didn't come here to break even, you came here to change what's in there. And that takes about 2 minutes. I call it the bodyguard check. It's just 5 questions and 1 rule. It takes about 2 minutes and you can't do it wrong. So you basically run the bodyguard check on anything you're procrastinating on, ideally right before you do the task. But honestly, even running it from the couch helps. So question 1 is name the task. Be specific. Not I need to be productive, the actual thing. Like answer that email or go to the gym today. Question 2, what am I already telling myself this will feel like? So you don't have to judge it, you just have to notice it. Maybe you think it's going to be boring or embarrassing or exhausting. Whatever comes up first, that's a photo your bodyguard is looking at. Most people have never once looked at their own prediction. You're about to. Now, question 3 is you want to separate the pain from the suffering. What's the feeling in your body versus the thought in your head? For example, with the workout, the feeling in your body is your legs burning, your lungs working. In your head, you might be thinking, I'm so out of shape. Everyone here is better than me. For getting out of bed, the feeling in your body might be cold air, about 4 seconds of it, That's the whole thing. In your head, I'm exhausted. I can't do this today. Why is this so hard for me when everyone else just gets up? The text you owe somebody. In your body, you feel nothing. Nothing at all. It's just 30 seconds of your thumbs typing. In your head, they're gonna be mad at me. I'm a terrible friend. Notice what happened? The body sensation kept shrinking until it disappeared completely, but the head part showed up every single time. That's what you've been avoiding. Not the burning legs, not the thumbs typing, the head part. Your files were never full of 30-second tests, they were full of stories. And question 4 is to trace where the story came from. When's the last time you did this or something like it and made it mean something bad about you? That's the photo, and the story loses the power the second you see it's just a photo from one bad day, not a fact about you. In question 5, choose what you feed him instead. You found the thought in your head, now pick a different one that's actually true. Like for the workout, instead of everyone here is better than me, you can be thinking, this burn is the whole reason I'm here. For the text, instead of they're gonna be mad, I'm a terrible friend, you could be thinking 30 seconds and this stops sitting on me. And notice, none of those are fake. You're not doing like this forced positivity stuff. 30 seconds really is 30 seconds. The burn really is why you came to the gym. If anything, you're dropping the part that was never a fact in the first place because thinking I'm a terrible friend, that's not a fact. It's a verdict you handed yourself. There's 2 ways to see the same task and you get to choose the one that you live in. So that's the 5 questions, but there's one more part and it's the one that actually changes the file, so you can't skip it. Remember how the photo gets taken. The task is on your mind, plus how you feel. That's it, which means he's photographing all the time, including from the couch when you're not even doing anything, just thinking about the task. But here's why the rep, when you're actually doing the task, matters so much. When you're actually doing the task, it's the one moment the task is fully on your mind and you get to decide what you're thinking about it. That's your clear shot at handing your bodyguard a different photo for your file. So you don't just pick the new thought, you hold it while you do the thing. You do the workout thinking, I'm getting stronger, this burn is the whole reason I'm here. The old thought will come back, mid-task out of nowhere. I'm so behind, my life is a mess. That's normal. It's been the photo for years. You don't have to fight it. Just come back to the new one. Every time you come back, that's what gets recorded. And slowly but surely, you'll fill the entire file with new pictures. And by the way, guys, I made a free PDF of all of this because the hard part isn't the questions, it's coming up with new thoughts on the spot to think instead. So I did it for you. It has the most common tasks that people procrastinate on, the thoughts that you're probably having that are causing the suffering, and a truer thought to replace it with. It's called the bodyguard check. It's completely free, the link's in the description. Use it on just one task this week, and that's your first new photo for your file. Now, let me just be straight with you about what happens next, because this is where most videos lie to you. The file doesn't flip in one day. You've got years of photos in there. One good rep doesn't erase them. It might take 10 new photos, 10 times doing the task the new way before the prediction really shifts. The first few times, the resistance will still be there because, your bodyguard is still looking at the old photos. That's not the method failing, that's just the file mid-update. And if it's something that you do daily, you're getting new photos every day, so those files rewrite fastest. Here's what you'll notice. Every single rep, the resistance gets a little smaller. The task starts feeling lighter, not because it changed, but because his stack of toddler photos is growing. And then one day, you'll think about the task and nothing happens. No dread, no negotiating, you just do it. That's the day you realize you haven't procrastinated on it in weeks, and you didn't even notice it stopped. That's where the part where I say your procrastination slowly disappears on its own actually means. Not willpower or discipline, a file quietly getting rewritten one photo at a time. And if you need help building and breaking habits, click the link in the description to book a free one-on-one call with me. I'll ask you some questions to see if we're a good fit to work together, and if I find that we are, we can see what that might look like. So remember, guys, your bodyguard's not going anywhere. He's going to be doing his job for the rest of your life. The only question is what you decide to put in his file.